Om Do Shanti Shanti Antariksha Gun Shanti Prithvi Shanti Rapa Shanti Roshadaya Shanti Vanaspataya Shanti Vishve Deva Shanti Brahma Shanti Sarvagun Shanti Reva Shanti Shama Shanti Redhi Om Shanti 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 Om.
Sukhamasyatam paratare chetas samadhiyatam Purnatma sudamikshyatam jagadidam tadvaditam drisyatam Karma pravilapyatam chidibalan napyuttarai srishyatam prarabdam vibhujyatam athaparamaatmanasthiyatam prarabdam vibhujyatam Brahmatmanasthiyata Ekante Sukamasyata. Live happily in solitude. Very nice. Even the first beginning itself is live in solitude. Even when you are among a crowd, you feel I am in solitude. Not only when you are in solitude, but also in the crowd, you have to be in solitude. The mind should be so firm in solitude. Focus the mind purely on Brahman. And because you are seeing the infinite self everywhere, the fleeting existence of the world is completely going away. Because you are not concentrated on the world, you are concentrated on the self. And because of the power of consciousness, the past karmas is burnt away. And because you are not the doer, presently you are not doing any karma and you are not the doer, the future karmas are not there. What is left is only prarabdha karma, which now it is proceeding. So leave the body for that prarabdha karma, let it face it. Prarabdham tviha bhujyatam. And because of that, as and just doing the prarabdha, you stay put as Atma and don't do anything. This is the last teaching of Shankaracharya to his students. There were 40 teachings, this is the last 8 teaching. So like that, there are 5 stanzas. This is called Upadesha Panchakam, and this is the last stanza of that shlokam. So be that. That's what his final teaching is. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you want to upset yourself, feel something bad. Like, why the person has not invited me, why someone didn't ask me, why I'm in waiting for so long, whatever. Whenever there is complaint, we are unhappy. Whenever there is complaint can be very small, that you went to a restaurant, you asked for a fork and that person ignored you or didn't remember you, and then you get annoyed. Or it could be big, but you remember it is always that petty desire can be small or big, doesn't matter. Desire makes us unhappy or irritable or upset. So how to live without a desire and be happy? Actually, this is just an old habit that we think unless our desire is fulfilled, or this is my right, or the person has ignored me, or whatever, the moment that thought comes to our mind and we try to act on that, then we have already fallen too deep. But whenever a thought comes, anything irritates within, we should just watch and let it be that way. I remember a very beautiful incident, maybe 10, 15 years back, when I was traveling in plane, and this fellow passenger ask something from the flight attendant, I think a glass of water or something. So she came and she said, okay, I'll bring it. And probably she couldn't, or whatever the reason was. And then after almost like more than 30 minutes, he pressed it again, and then someone else came and he said the same thing. And she said, okay, she'll bring. And again, there was no one. So, and I saw, and I thought I should press again, but I thought I can go and get, but then this person can also go and get. But then finally that lady came and she said, I'm extremely sorry. And, and that person had such a beautiful smile on his face and said, thank you 3 times, as if she has just brought it in a fraction of a second. Like, this is so beautiful. I really like, I felt so good sitting next to someone who has so much of patience, and so much of compassion and gratitude. While she was apologetic, she must have been busy in something else. And look, there are so many calls and demands, and sometimes they forget who pressed the call, and they might have given that water to someone else, who knows. But this is what we all should, in that abidance in pure self. The biggest thing happens, and you don't say, oof, ouch, you just keep quiet. Because the one which gets annoyed is definitely mind in form of thoughts because of a desire. We want things to go this way, they have gone this way. And some people are really, look, what is right now happening in Melbourne, these protests, is because their desire is so different from what the government wants to do. I'm not saying what is right or wrong, I'm just saying intention of the government is to help everyone. They are not doing anything for any other petty reason. But the thing is that people's desires are so different. They can't just tolerate, they can't just keep quiet, they can't just watch. And in that, actually, what the government is trying to do, it's not happening. Still the cases are going up in spite of everything, because there are people who are not following what is being asked to do. So this all is a game of mind, just that desire of doing this. People come with set agendas. They want things to be done in a particular way, in a meeting, in a group, in a society, or in their life. And sometimes people don't understand even Bhagavan's teachings or the teachings of abiding in self. They think, how would I live my life if I don't plan things? But you should understand, we plan too much. There is no need to plan that much, Things just happens. And in one of these satsangs, I was just seeing someone has commented that Bhagavan was never against any planning. You can live in awareness and you can plan all the time. But this message is going across to everyone who has a mind, because we think too much, we plan too much. So we have to cut that thing. And I'm pretty sure, in spite of giving this message, you might not be just staying like that. You would still be doing some sort of things when it needs to be done. So when you are trying to go from one end to the other, then you want to achieve the other corner, it is better to say that you don't plan, and then the mind will be more settled. And just watch yourself. Whenever irritation occurs inside you, you feel something, you see you are looking for something else which is not happening the way you think it should happen. It's all the mind game. Let's say if you're in total acceptance, let's say you want someone to treat you in this way, and that person has not treated, just okay, just accept that person's behavior or whatever. You just stay as awareness, abide in your pure awareness. Like what Nilakantanji was saying, that even in a group of people, with people, you have to have that solitude. I would say that that solitude is even without any of your own thoughts or your ego. You are just in pure awareness. You are staying not even with your mind, because I know some people go to a party or somewhere and they can be sitting in a corner but thinking and picking and getting annoyed, and and then I need to leave, these people are all just not right people for me, and feeling angry or maybe upset. That is not solitude, because you have taken company of mind, your intrusive thoughts, and you are indulged in gossiping, self talk, rumination. That brings unhappiness. It is better to go and talk to people and talk some silly talk rather than gossiping in your mind. That is much worse than that. Solitude is whether people are talking to you, they are not talking to you, you are with people or you're not with people. But you stay as a witness. And when you stay as a witness, you are just in a total acceptance. I'm not saying what the people are doing you would agree or disagree, but you are just neutral. You don't care. And that is a pure solitude of your own silence. From that silence, when you talk to people, whether they agree with you or not, but they will feel some peace. They will feel that energy. That energy can sometimes even intimidate people who have their own agenda, because they can't blackmail you, they can't entice you, they can't irritate you. And you are not also impressed by what they are doing or not doing. Such a neutral atmosphere in you is actually infectious. It spreads in that environment. And that is the beauty of abiding in your pure self. And we all can do it. And it is a matter of practice. It's not that one day, sudden bolt, and you are changed. Slow process is a good process. Slow cooking, things goes in the right way, right direction. And that is for all the seekers, all the people who want to stay in bliss. And this is wisdom. In all these years, we have noticed that whatever you think or you have intention about, things happens in their own way. You can't say right or wrong. Maybe wrong when it's not happening the way your mind or your ego feels, and right when it is actually what you think, the way things are happening. Leaving aside this ego and just abiding in pure awareness and accepting as things comes. And when the mind is giving some expert commentary on things because of its previous conditioning, you just watch. Don't don't go further with those thoughts. And when you pay attention and you don't get involved, the thought just drops there. There's no train of thoughts. Because if someone has done something, you pick up that and you feel unhappy, then it will take you what that person has done in last 20 years with you and then you will frame that person, you will make that thing into a big thing rather than nothing. And
There is a Gita, there comes one shloka. I forgot the shloka, but I remember the meaning. Everybody's mind is made of matter. So the matter doesn't matter. So even if they are thinking something, as the mind is not there for you, for them also mind is not there. So unnecessarily what is propped up, oh, he thought like that, because of that he did like this, she did like this, but they don't have the mind. Even their mind is elusive. Is also as illusory. So both the minds are illusory. What illusory mind is fighting with illusory mind. I have nothing to do, or he or she has also nothing to do with that. If you make that thinking, because all this is because of matter only, it's empowered by me. So in that case, if I pull the plug, everything falls off. So that kind of conviction is most important. Both the sides, the mind doesn't matter. It's just matter. It has no impact. It's not energy.
very true, very true. Because
So even if they think something wrong about me, because like that, it has a intellectual way of thinking and curbing it then and there.
Yeah, that is very true. And the person who knows this most is a person who is in path of his spirituality, because he's trying to unfold and leave all this garbage. He wants to clean, he wants to have purity of mind, clear mind, clean mind. And in that he knows how much it is a practice, a struggle, efforts to stay detached. And so when you see someone else getting involved in mind and throwing stones towards you, I am not saying literally stones, but any resistance of any type, you will have compassion for that person, because it's not an easy task. Maybe you are still having some grace, you are working, you have some knowledge, you are working. People around you might not be even into it for any reason. So you can understand how difficult for them to stay in that purity, when it is difficult for us to be in that purity in spite of doing all these things, you know. And there comes compassion for all disturbed mind in this world, because this is only the disturbance of mind which is creating wars and conflicts and all these things. Disturbed minds, and then this cumulative mind is also disturbed. So what we can do is, rather than adding more resistance to what is going on, we can just be in that pure awareness, which can be of great help to everyone around us.
Maybe you can cut off your video because it's dropping off and on. Your voice is dropping on and off. Maybe you can cut off your video for 5 minutes or 3 minutes and try again.
Mm. Somehow, with right understanding, and I have to add, with grace of knowledge or self within, you come across some intuitiveness as soon as the mind tries to pop up with a thought about something, especially these psychological things. It's not about, I have to pick up that pen from there, that is not going to create any issue. It is about things or objects or beings and situations, or those types of things which creates excitement or creates restlessness or unhappiness. The moment it comes, and when you are abiding in awareness, it does not even come to that extent. It just comes, and almost as soon as it comes, it drops. With practice and with that power of awareness in which you are living your life, most of the time with practice, it becomes so natural that there is no space, there is no place for any gossiping mind left. And that is the source of bliss, when the mind is not raising its ugly head for you to get disturbed in any form. So the one for whom the mind gives all this reports to the one, that one, if is staying as a witness, actually drops, because then there is no individuality left. It's like thoughts are coming and hitting a wall, and wall is not responding. Then what will happen? The mind, because it now knows there is no one to report, it also becomes quite peaceful, because there's nothing to manifest in any form. It just becomes quieter and quieter. So this is what my take on it is. Anyone wants to comment? Anyone wants to say anything about anything? Another thing which I would like to say is that when you start staying in awareness, you so many times um, don't want to say anything, and you adhere to silence so much, in rather than just filling up the gaps with saying something. That is a human tendency to just keep saying some things to engage. But
Mm.
but probably in a satsang you can just keep quiet for next 1 hour.
Sanjay?
Yes, Susan.
I was talking about this morning with the what happened, with the quake or tremor. I used to be very, as a child, and even when I grew up, to be nervous about thunderstorms and loud noises, things like that.
Mm.
And yeah, it was just such a calm kind of experience that I felt. So yeah, so I didn't really, we talked about it, and we've talked, but yeah, you felt like you didn't get an impression. Does that make sense? I can't really
Very true.
explain.
Actually, someone asked me how was it. I said it was very interesting, because nothing else I could say. It was just whatever happened. Yeah, this is the thing. So more and more, when you settle in your heart, nothing agitates, natural calamities. Or if you see right now, we are more than a year, almost 18 months into COVID, and you see people are having so much of mental health issues that to see a psychologist or a psychiatrist is a long wait. People are struggling to see. And the thing is, because we are completely dependent on external things for our happiness, and when we are not allowed to do those things or meet or things, so much of anxiety has built up, and depression, and because we have not started living with our own self. We don't even look within. We are always engaging with things around us, because sitting with yourself, and I've spoken to so many people, and they all say that because there is so much of time sitting at home with on, we feel so much of anxiety, stress, loneliness, depression. And I'm talking about people who are not suffering from any mental health issues in the past. They were never looking within.
There is a Sanskrit shloka. It's very, very appropriate here. It says, Ahara nidra vaimaitunancha samanyame tat pashivirnaranam buddhirhitesham atiko visesham buddhirvihina pashivissamanaha. Aharam, which is food, nidra, which is sleep, ahara nidra bhayam, which is self-preservation, maitunancham is having sex and reproducing. Only these four are similar between animal and man. And anything else, if you don't do something extra than these four, then you are equal to an animal. So if we are behaving just like an animal, animals gather together. If they are not gathered together, they are put in a jail, what happens? Or in a zoo, they feel lonely. Like that, man begins to feel means there is something wrong with him, he is an animal only. That we have to think again and again.
Anyone wants to say anything, comment on anything, report anything?
Yeah.
Hi, Sanjay. I'd like to say something.
Yes, Elaine.
About, it was, like you were talking about like irritations and things like that. I had a situation during the week with a friend who had major heart surgery, and it's been very significant. And she's a very close and dear friend. And I've had experienced quite a lot of trouble reaching out to her, where I just feel the pushback all the time. And I'm not used to being pushed away. I found it very, I did find it very disturbing, and I still do. And I had to really, I didn't react. I just said, that's okay. We might talk in a couple of weeks when you're feeling a bit stronger, or text. I was very, very gentle. It's been about 3 months, and very, very hard to make any sort of contact. Anyhow, it's the only way I can describe it, just feeling a bit bewildered and a bit hurt. And I had to really sit down and work with it. And I was thinking about, reflecting is probably a better word, around why I was hurt, and what was it in my thinking which was I needed to look at. There was something in my thinking which was no longer serving either of us, and that reaction kept pushing happening. And so I just had to sit and work with the feeling of it. And I just came to the understanding that she was extremely frail, and she just couldn't cope with my energy. It was as simple as that, really, that she wasn't robust enough to manage my energy. My energy was too strong for her, even though I was sort of being gentle and so forth. A part of me just naturally was forceful, in a sort of a way. Anyhow, it was too much for her to bear. And I sort of came to an understanding that she was just, she was too frail to cope with my energetic force. So I was able to sort of settle with that and not take it in any way personally, as I had to change my thinking, not ignore the thinking or just go into completely letting go. I needed to understand that there was something in my thinking which needed to be adjusted. I wonder if you could make a comment on that.
I had a similar experience few months back. So one of these doctor who works in a similar field with me, and there's a nurse who works with him, and she works with me as well. And she told me that he had a bad cancer, and he is going through surgery. And she told me all that stuff, and she said, I don't know, and the surgery has gone complicated. So it's so natural, if you know someone and you have heard that someone is so sick, what do? You just call and you ask about the well-being. And I did the same. And that person confronted, he said that he has no problem. Who told you? And I said, well, that's okay. That's what, if you're feeling well and nothing has happened, that's very good. So what you're saying is, people have so many reasons to, even when you have compassion, you are calling to showing your concerns about someone. They can keep you at arm's length, or they can just deny completely because of of their own inbuilt protective mechanisms, maybe feeling that you will not see me as down with a disease, even if I'm dying. Whatever, you can't just, we should not even be thinking too much. So just accept. And I just moved away. And then one day we met after that, and you could see from his face all the bones, and and the person was not lying. Everyone knew that he was in hospital, but he just don't want to talk about that, and he does not want to. So that's all okay. We should just accept whatever these people are, or how people think. And what my take is that the moment you have to go into your thoughts, modify your thoughts, is because you went quite deep with what happened between you and that person. And because you slipped into the emotions of thoughts with emotions, you have to sort it out to get out of it. Then you can't just leave it like that, and say, look, now I'm in awareness. It's not a business of, touch and go. We are all human beings. We have emotions, we have feelings. We are made up of our past experiences. We know how to behave in our own way. There's nothing right or wrong about any behavior in life. But to pull you out when you are quite deeply involved in an emotion or any emotional transaction, it takes time. And I think what you did was nothing wrong. That is the reason why I say nip on the bud. When the first this itchiness, ouch, comes, if we drop at that moment, then it is much easier. But if we slip into that lane of emotions and we go deeper, and sometimes we love, actually, if you see, even this feeling of sadness is lovable by a lot of people, the blues. And, if you see melancholy, that has its own, I should say,
They have read the Macbeth or something too much.
yeah, people.
I have a small simile for that. Suppose if there's a whirlpool, if you get into when you're swimming on there is a whirlpool when you're swimming in a river. It's a whirlpool. So if you get caught at the outer ring of that whirlpool, you can come out very fast. Suppose you are going to the center of it, it'll suck you in and you'll go 2 kilometers or 3 kilometers, then that will throw you out. So this is what this simile, if you remember, most of the time you can get out of it, because I'm now in the outer circle, I can get out with my force. If once I get into the inner circle of that whirlpool, it will suck me in. So if when I was young, I used to remember this. Somebody told me this simile. It helped me so much.
Yeah.
Don't get sucked in by that particular emotion. Otherwise, it'll take ages. Maybe it'll take 2 days, 3 days for you to come out. So it's better when it's how you come out. That's pretty important, so that your energy is not sucked in. Otherwise, your energy goes away. It takes time for you to resurrect yourself.
Well, I didn't feel in my experience that it was like a whirlpool. I picked it up. I was very quick to identify the feeling. I didn't dwell on that too much, but I really wanted to understand what I was believing, I think. I wanted to understand the belief I was holding and to see if that needed some
notional correction. That's the word, notional correction.
Research almost. Yeah, I needed to research that and say there's something in the way I was thinking which I needed to adjust to allow for her and to allow for the harmony to return. So we were coming together and not separating out, but through a reaction. Do you understand that I needed to make that change to come back into connection again? Yeah. And it did. It was okay. It resolved itself. And there's no residue of any kind. It's past. Yeah.
I think the only thing I can explain you, staying as not a person gives so much of a space in you in which anything can happen or not happen and doesn't matter. When we go into that ego self, the space is very limited. It becomes very constricted feeling, around throat, around chest, and it becomes very denseness. But the moment you keep your hands like this, let whatever happen, you feel so lighter, so spacious, and you can allow, and things can happen and they can move it, and it does not affect. So that is what I can make you understand in that sense.
Yeah.
Like the
Thank
people, I was talking to one of the persons today, and she said to me that I can't go for a walk in this atmosphere. I said, but in lockdown you are allowed to walk. She said, but when I go for walk, I always feel that something wrong would happen to me, or someone will attack me from the back, or something can happen, because I have all my life I have tried to save myself from negative impulses or people and things, and now I'm so insecure that after separation with my partner, I don't want to talk to anyone, and I'm not, like, a bit paranoid about people and things and all. And that happens because of these ongoing negative thoughts and rumination and believing on those. And I sat with her and I tried to explain things. It all depends on your own capacity, how much you understand, how much you can practice, because it's all a lot of efforts are needed, and we are doing. And then when we do and we realize that it is a task, because if we have been taught from day one in our primary school days, things would have been very different. But nobody talks about these things, and we have collected and collected and collected. Now we are unfolding. So it's a process, and everything is okay in this process. Everything is fine. Nothing right or wrong about anyone, because everyone has been given this mind which they have filled up with all these things, and now it's all mumbo jumbo. And everyone tries to sort out in their own way, and sometimes the way they try to sort out makes it more complicated also. So we should have compassion for everyone, and that's why you understand more when you work on your own self, that when you stay in your own heart, and then you don't want to get into the mind.
I have a suggestion. In the Vedas, in the Upanishads, there is one famous line, Satyam vada dharmanchara. This Satyam vada is speak the truth. Dharmanchara is try as much as possible to do your duty. If this is specifically followed within us, we don't expect others to do that. To that extent, the mind will loosen up. And what is the Satya, what is truth, is relative. So for one person it may be right, for the other person it may be wrong, that kind of a thing will happen. So that helps. I'm not saying that's going to solve the problem. It loosens you up.
The whole idea is not to irritate anyone and not to get irritated yourself. And I'll tell you, if we work only on ourselves, that not to get irritated, I'll tell you, we cannot irritate anyone. This is the mantra which I can tell you. So focus on yourself, not to get irritated by anything, and just keep looking, rather than trying to change people. People come in different size, shapes, and forms, and look, they can change themselves. We are not responsible for their reactions or their behavior, but we can make us ourselves as bulletproof, not getting affected. And the best is to have more spaciousness in our heart rather than a constricted heart. And that spaciousness comes when you stay in awareness. And I'll tell you, the beautiful thing happens in this awareness is that it can incorporate everyone, every type of form into it, and it accepts with that unconditional love. And there is no give and take in pure presence, in awareness. While as an individual in that small boundary of ego, there's always give and take, that I have done this and he hasn't done this, and I did that and that person didn't do. Always showing importance of our own little self. But in that spaciousness, everything is allowed and everything is open, because you realize that in reality, it is the same awareness which is flowing in me, you, and everyone. Even inanimate objects, even in plants, trees, everything is the same. And then there are these pockets of mind like gadgets in some beings which are blasting, just like today's earthquake. If we can accept an earthquake with a smiling face, like Suzanne said, we can have small these volcanic eruptions in people's mind is okay, doesn't matter. And this is the beautiful opening within our own self. It is actually such a beautiful jewel which is covered by so many layers. If we start unfolding, you can find your own self, and then this self which is always there. Even if this whole world gets finished, the body gets destroyed, you cannot leave self, because you are self. You are awareness. You are eternal, unborn. How beautiful it is. Even this discovery, even understanding this, how beautiful it is to know that nothing can kill you, nothing can destroy you, nothing can take away anything from you. And whatever we are taking away from our own self is our own illusion, thinking that we are this body and we are going to die one day, and then we are suffering because there is a problem in the body, and we are suffering because these thoughts I dislike, I don't like these thoughts. So all this suffering is because of our wrong understanding that mind and body is me and I am going to die. Though the body might die and body might suffer or mind might suffer, but you, as that spacious awareness, is always the same. How you can live in that awareness, how you can work in this world till your last breath and stay as awareness, is what that practice is. Self-attention, self-inquiry, or whatever method works for you. And not getting into that personal mode ever. I think
That's
Nilakant.
what is told in the Dharmanchara. That dharma means, what is your swadharma? Swadharma of fire is to burn. What is my swadharma? I am that consciousness. So Dharmanchara means I am that consciousness. That's my dharma. So like that, you go back and settle down in that your swadharma.
And Elaine, I'll tell you a beautiful thing about it, which I think is very practical, that whenever anything comes and makes you feel unhappy or even excited, in both ways, you bring it to that awareness, remembering you are pure awareness and remembering you are uninvolved witness only. When you bring everything to that test, nothing matters. And bring that thing here, bring it here, and it just melts away, in that pure seeing. It cannot stand. And that is the beauty. And then yes, nothing matters. So that is my advice, to bring everything here to your heart and check from here. This is your, I don't know how you say in English, but in Hindi they say kasauti. There must be a good English word for that. Maybe to test at some acid test, maybe. I don't know what would be the right word. So bring everything to your heart, check at the level of awareness, and if it stands there, then it is pure and it will survive. If it's not pure, it is not awareness, it will just melt away. And then what is left is only silence. So you keep bringing things here and keep checking here, and then only silence is left. Because silence will never leave us. Noise will leave us. Chattering mind will leave us. Things around us will leave us. This body, mind will leave us. But that silence can never leave us. That is our eternal abode. So bring everything there. And all these are fruits of this pure silence. When you stay in silence, you are always in that blissfulness. You are never lonely. You never have boredom. You're not looking for next job or work. You're not trying to fill up your day with work. People say, empty mind is devil's mind. I don't know who devised this, but I think empty mind is God. It is.
Yeah.
It is not devil.
I feel like I'm beginning to take that opportunity to note something which is not in harmony, and to actually, I stop and I might come to the breath, and I think I'm just going to sit. I'm just going to sit and sort of like reflect with it, like you say, bring it to the heart, and actually take the time to do that. And not put it off anymore. Like if I'm in a situation which is fairly quiet at the moment anyhow, I can just come and sit on a chair and say, I'm just going to sit with this and hold this.
Yes,
and
hold this here.
Yeah, bring it here to see if I can come to some more understanding about it. Now that's quite new behaviour for me, where before I might think about it again like later in the day, or it might circle around like the whirlpool. But now I'm trying to catch it much more quickly and like make an appointment with myself, really, to reflect on it. And like I don't always get an answer, but it's sort of like a new healthy habit to look at it, and give myself the time, and not get distracted by something, or say, no, I'm going to sit with this now, and I ask for grace now. I do ask for help. Beautiful. Where before I didn't do that. I tried to work it all out, but now I think I've got the help if I ask for it, and just open it up more, like you're saying, yeah. But it's all new behaviour for me, really. Very I think, good. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love it. The way you have described. That's what it is. If you don't you don't need an answer when you bring it here. That silence is the answer to it. It just dissolves things. And when you said about the grace is making us more humble. Like. When, as Bhagavan used to say, when you try self-inquiry, if it's working, that's fine. If it's not working, then become a devotee, then surrender. Say, look, I don't know how to do it, and I am just useless fellow. You help me. And that power will help you. So it works both ways, Either you can try. And they say that who is actually trying? If you look into this question, then, that silence takes over. So in both ways it works. And I think, as I always say, that these are the two wings of the same bird, you know. You take grace, you pray, you ask for help, and you do your inquiry, and you use some method or some efforts to hold on to that awareness, you know. But I'll tell you, the if you keep your attention to the awareness, and rather than all this, what the psychological mind takes you somewhere, slowly and slowly and slowly, it becomes so firm that in no time, no practice is required. It just becomes so natural that, because we have never done this way, we were always using mind and then interacting with the word. That's the path which we have seen in our life, or with society or conditioning. But this new way, it is actually a new way for all the seekers to go back and see from that awareness mode and behave as awareness, and that blissful mode. And for that, some practice is needed and some efforts are needed. And that's why, going back to those teachings again and again and again, and reading it again, you know, the best book, I believe, is Who Am I? Look through it again, read that. When you contemplate on one of those words, sentences, it gives you a new meaning every time you read, and it takes you deeper in your understanding of things. So we don't have to keep searching for new literature, or, you know, new information, or just stay there, you know, in awareness. And that awareness in that silence will give you your own intuitive understanding and knowledge, which will take you more deeper into your own seeing. That's why I say, don't stay just below the level of waves. Then there's a risk that you can become wave. Go so deep in your own silence, that nothing can make you wave again. Nothing can pull you out into the person mode. Because, you know, as you are only changing, Elaine, yourself, you're not changing people around you. So all the waves are trying to hold you into wave form. So you have to be really grounded in your seeing and in your practice to be there, you know, rather than getting pulled into that type of wave form again. So
thank you.
What you say is 100% true, especially reading Who Am I almost daily. It brings its own grace.
it is beautiful.
Who am I?
Who am I is always a hand distance away from me all the time.
We've got it.
This is so
Very
beautiful.
small plot.
Yeah,
28 question.
it is so beautiful. So beautiful. Look, what a young age. Bhagavan, you know, 16 years
Yeah,
old.
he was
This
hardly
must be
23.
1902. 21. It says 21.
Now, when he gave it, it was 23 because it was 1902. He was born in a 79. 21, 20, 23. 79.
1902, yeah.
1902 is 79 he was born, so it's not about 23.
But this picture, it says, is when he was 21.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, I think there's a purpose, I believe, in Bhagavan bringing us all together. It is his power, it is his grace to bring us together, to keep remembering the pure teaching again and again and again, and staying in your heart, everything being tested from those purest of teachings, and the best companion which can make us out of this whirlpool of samsara, this word, you know. Otherwise this mind will not make you out of this thing, you know. And this silence is so addictive. Once you start tasting your own bliss, you fall in love with your own self. It is a self addiction, you know. It is so beautiful. because then you don't need any other company. If you don't like your own company, how others you expect should like your company? First is you should love yourself. But this love is very different from the love which you can call selfishness, which is it is so pure, and it involves everything, not this body, but everything. Let's sit in silence before, and let's pray to that absolute in all of us to keep us on this path of self-abidance till our last breath. And the grace is on all of us. And that grace keeps us on this path of non-duality, path of self-abidance, path of unconditional love. Infinite love, pure love, pure bliss. Bliss which is not dependent on any external factor or a thing. Completely independent of the matter. Coming from self-effulgent own standing without any support. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you, everyone. Stay in this pure presence all the time. Thank you so much.